What's up guys, Evasion here, and in today's video I got my pre-patch rogue opener guide, and it's kind of like a full pre-patch guide, I guess. I'll cover stats, essences, and traits that I'm using on my gear. Without further ado, let's hop into it. I'm going to show opener real quick, and we're going to go over it, and then I'm going to go into the other stuff afterwards because it's probably more exciting. And also, I'm going to try to use webcam for this video and see how it goes. Might be more engaging because sometimes when I'm doing guides, you're just staring at the screen. So anyway, please enjoy. Alright, so this first example here, we're going to kind of play through it, and then I'm going to go back over it in slow motion, just because it happens really fast. This is good when you're ever in like a 1v1 situation. You don't need to worry about using kidney shot on an off target. Up to this point, I've been mostly practiced at using cheap shot into cheap shot openers, because a lot of the time you're always using kidney shot on an off target. It's only really in 1v1 situations when you'll do stuff like that, or if you have like another teammate that has like crazy CC off of what you're doing. Alright, this time we'll slow it down. We're going to go in, we're going to use Shadowblades, and Shadowblades is off global since pre-patch, which is really cool. We're going to use our cheap shot. We're going to press Symbols, Shadow Dance, Coldblood. We're going to use Shadowstrike and our Essence and a drest'agath into a kidney shot. And the reason why it's good to do it like this is because there's no gaps between cheap shot and kidney. If you decide to go for an extra global in there, there's going to be a small gap. That's no good. Then we're going to use Mark for Death, Eviscerate, into Shadowstrike, and do another cheap shot, into a last Eviscerate, and yeah, it's a lot of damage. This is on a level 50 target dummy. Target dummies obviously probably take a little bit more damage than players would, but still we did about 35k damage, and in pre-patch we have like 20k HP, so it's going to run over most people. And we're going to hop into some variations of this. That's kind of like a standard 1v1 opener, like I was saying. There is no reason to use Rupture other than if you're trying to set up for long-term setups right now, because Eviscerate is definitely doing enough damage, and Rupture no longer has the 10% additional damage that Nightblade used to have on it, which was really good. But I actually like this change a lot, because I think that using finishers like Slice and Dice and Rupture, they should be situational. So it feels good that there's kind of like playstyle variance in that sense. But we're going to hop into another opener here. Alright, this opener here, I'm not going to cover it in as much detail because it's like a variation of the first one. The only difference here is this rotation comes out one global faster, and there's a slight gap between... there'll be, depending on your ping, there'll be a slight gap between the Eviscerate and the kidney shot here. So normally you'd save this global and just go into the kidney so there's no gaps. Because there used to be a glyph actually. Well, there used to be a glyph, so cheap shot was like 4.5 seconds, and it made it so this opener worked beautifully. But yeah, they removed that obviously, so we don't have glyphs anymore. And yeah, so we use cheap shot here. Press Dance, Symbols. I'm pretty sure I mispressed Coldblood here, but you should press Coldblood here as well. Into a Shadowstrike. I get 5 points. I use my Eviscerate, and then a Mark for Death kidney instantly off that. In this particular clip, there was no gap, but usually if you do something like this, there'll end up being some kind of small gap, which can really suck because people could get off a defensive. And yeah, then I get my Coldblood in there late, but yeah, follow up with another Shadowstrike and Eviscerate at the end. And yeah, it did a pretty good amount of damage there, 34k or so compared to the first one, but the difference being this time, I believe I got a crit on my Essence and one of my Eviscerates. Also, a change to Eviscerate I'm going to highlight real quick too is when we have Find Weakness on the target, it's going to do 50% additional damage in shadow damage. When Subtlety finally gets tuned, it's probably going to feel bad, because then our Eviscerates outside of Find Weakness windows are probably just going to suck. So I don't really like changes like this, because I kind of have a good understanding of like how they affect the game when the game finally gets tweaked. That's why there's another thing too. Another reason why like backstab and stuff like that is so bad is because we have all these actual damage modifiers on Shadow Dance. Like we have Night Stalker, we have potentially Dark Shadows. The actual Shadow Dance ability itself is a 15% damage increase. And the reason why that's bad is because what that does is it makes it so our actual Shadowstrike ability is actually weaker than it could be. And as a result, also, our backstabs are even weaker than that. So that kind of sucks, but we're going to hop into another opener quick here. Try not to run along on this video. I want to show you guys a quick opener with using... Sometimes you may need to incorporate Rupture, or you have to use your kidney shot as a setup. Alright, so we go in here, we use Mark for Death kidney on an off target. Then we're going to use Dance, Symbols, cheap shot, Rupture. Then I use a Coldblood Shadowstrike into a cheap shot, and that's going to give us a Eviscerate at the end. So overall, this opener is like 50% more weaker than if you're just totally focused on one target, but what this does is it gave your teammate a kidney shot so they can use like a trap, a fear, polymorph, whatever off of it. And yeah, it's really good. So you sacrifice some damage in order to have a better setup. That's really good. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. And here's another one real quick. Same kind of opener, except instead of throwing up this rupture, this is kind of in the case if you're opening on a stealth target, you didn't want to vanish out, you'd use this rupture here. But for actual damage, it's pretty trash compared to using an extra eviscerate. So here's another quick example. Same opener, except it's using the extra eviscerate instead. Alright, so I was trying to fix my video settings and I got ganked by somebody, so that's pretty funny. Anyway, so here we are. We're sub-spec, of course, and we're gonna hop into the talents real quick. I know I uploaded that video like a couple days ago, so I'm not gonna go into the talents too much in detail, but I'm using premeditation for those openers, Night Stalker, Mark for Death, Prey on the Weak, Soothing Darkness, doesn't really matter, Enveloping Shadows, and Master of Shadows. The only ones that really matter for how the opener functions is premeditation is throwing up that slice and dice. In this video, we didn't include any openers where we had slice pre-buffed. I'll probably do some more of that in the Shadowlands version of this when I come out with like the level 60 edition of the opener guide, because the alternate functionality of premeditation is kind of serving what First Dance trait does for us right now. It's gonna really suck not having First Dance trait because I think it's really fun to get those really fast combo points. Night Stalker doesn't really change too much because Shadow Focus doesn't allow us to do anything as far as I know that the energy is required. Subterfuge, you do the same kind of opener even if you have it, and Enveloping Shadows just gives you more dances more frequently. The Mark for Death is obviously really important. You can't really do these openers without it. Stats though, I'm playing Reverse Mastery, although I still have a bunch of haste because my rings are not optimized. I'm still wearing my Assassin rings. And for traits, we want to go with First Dance. You want 3 Knight's Vengeance because it's going to make your Eviscerate hit really hard those times that you do use Rupture. But honestly, it doesn't really matter that much because we're not really going for Rupture. If you have Shadowstrike, if you have these inevitability traits, they're pretty good too. Or anything that just procs mastery increases, it's not a big deal. I'd say the major trait that's important in pre-patch for rogues is First Dance, just to have 1 for the 2 call points. Makes the playstyle really, really fast. It's kind of fun, I guess. But yeah, so Knight's Vengeance, or 1 First Dance. Knight's Vengeance is good if you are applying Rupture, but it's less good now in pre-patch because of Rupture not being as used. But it is good in those times when you can set it up. But we will not be setting up in the same way in Shadowlands, so if you want to practice kind of more of Shadowlands style opener, don't necessarily worry about having Knight's Vengeance. Inevitability is good, and the last, I don't think I actually have one on my gear, I'd have to look real fast. Engineering goggles are still alright, and I don't think I have one of the traits that I'm looking for. The one that makes it so that your Shadowstrike costs only 38 energy instead of 40 and kind of ramps up some extra damage. That one can be pretty good because Shadowstrike's doing some good damage for us. But other than that, Verse Mastery, those are the traits. Essences, you want to use Breath Major, Conflict Minor, Memory, Lucid Dreams, and I use Condensed Life Force Essence, but one thing that you could swap out is Crucible Flame is doing absolutely insane damage right now. So if you want to feel broken, you know, put that on instead. Do something like that. And I think that's going to cover just about everything. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, comment, subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys in the next one.